tender friends of the granulous pleasance, melt away in rapture as a crunchy loaf of bread wanders from my hands into yours.
As I said, the offer stands. Just think about it, okay?
I will. Take care. Hey, you came. Come on, take a seat. So, tell me, how are you holding up? It must have been quite the whirlwind. Yesterday, a refugee from another country, and now a prodigy with a magic great enough to impress old Bushybeard. Good luck with that. I'm quite curious to see how things keep on with you. You're different. I noticed that the time we met. Anyhow, tell me, what do you make of this country now that you've had some time to look around? I figure it must be quite the change from Nero. Shoot. Yeah, I can picture that. You know, this is exactly the reason why I love inns so much. The sky can rain fire out there. In here, you'll always meet laughter and good humor. Not to mention all the good-looking men and women. Absolutely. Though I think I've seen enough of this place by now. Of Enderal, I mean. There's a ship sailing for Calais next morning, and as it seems, it will be the last one for quite some time to come. Who knows? Maybe they still have a cabin to spare for a handsome treasure hunter. Oh well. This entire thing was more a coincidence than planned anyhow. The Order needed someone with skill and discretion. I was around. End of story. I never intended to stick around for much longer. Heck, me as an ambassador of the Holy Order, could you imagine that? Not one step further, O fair maiden. Drop your garment so we may both bathe in Malphas's holy light. Actually not that bad, don't you think? Oh, you're too kind. But you know, at the end of the day, I guess I'd probably lack both the pathos and the idealism for such a profession. You know, I'm aware of how these esteemed keepers up there talk about sellswords like me. I could save 30 virgins from a Myron on Rampage. At the end of the day, they'd always say I did it for the money, because I wanted to bed the women, or whatever. I'm driven by inferior motives. While no matter what their actions end in, they are good guys, because they do things for the right reasons. If only they'd understand that it's results that matter, not intentions. What does the wise hermit say? Nothing is of less importance to the saved than the reason for their rescue. The only difference between a mercenary like me and a holy warden is that I'm at least aware of the fact that I do what I do for myself, and no one else. I'm trying to say that all those heroes and self-declared messiahs are no better than everyone else. In the end, we are all selfish, because we always act in accordance to what we think we have to be like. So yes, maybe the keeper saves the farmer from the bandits. But at the end of the day, he does it because he sees himself in a certain light. You know, the funny thing is that a lot of times, it's especially those who think of themselves driven by a higher purpose who are the really dangerous ones. They don't understand what drives them, and that makes them easy to manipulate. The only thing left to do for the capable hate-monger or tyrant is to somehow combine his own ambitions with the mental image of this person. And presto, you've got your perfect puppet, only waiting to dive into the next hail of arrows for their honor, their religion, or whatever they thought of this time. It's just so idiotic, you know? The world would be a much better place if everyone could just acknowledge that the only reason we're here is that we want to be happy. Yeah, seek bliss and avoid pain, as the wise hermit likes to say. And believe me, once you realize that that's how people just work, life is a lot better. Oh, yeah, I do. And this goal is called surviving. And if possible, to be able to enjoy a good glass of wine or an exciting night from time to time. places. You make it sound so dramatic. Doing something for your own sake doesn't make you selfish. But yeah, basically that's it. I don't know. Call it a feeling. But if there is such a thing as a universal point to our lives, then I'm pretty sure we won't find it within the pre-digested philosophies or religions most people believe in. And hey, I'd be the last one to reject this great truth if she were to knock on my door, naked and tits jiggling. But until then, I'd rather try and find my own answers. Really? I was half expecting you to throw insults at me. That's what people usually do when I tell them that. But I guess life is full of surprises. Anyway, I'll take my leave now. I very much enjoyed our talk, but the ship to Killet leaves before the first cocks crow tomorrow, and I want some more time to think about it. Well, it most recently gained a good-looking Naramese man. Maybe that'll make up for when I leave. Keep your chin up.
Malfash's blessings. A little bit of this and that. Why not take a look? And our room's looking for you. It's no Ark Noble quarter, but it's warm and clean. Want it? Good. We'll open up the room for you. And please, no shady business. We walk the righteous path in here and don't want any trouble.
So much to do.
Yes? Walk blessed, friend. Where are you headed? How about Myrons? What is there to tell? They're beautiful animals, majestic and wild, and dangerous if you're unlucky enough to run into an untamed one. In the time before the Blood Moon Revolt, a long time ago, tame Myrons like this one here was a really rare sight. Nowadays, though, they're pretty common, at least here in Enderal. Pity, somehow. I guess that sounds stupid, but I sometimes long for the times my grandfather lived in. Being a Myron warden was far more prestigious back then, and even feared with sublimer keepers. Nowadays, well, you can guess, riding a Myron has become as ordinary as riding a mule. But, who am I to complain? Oh, well, that's hard to explain. They communicate by clicking sounds. I, as a warden, have been trained to hear them, but you probably can't. And through those clicking sounds, I also tell them where you want to go before you mount them. Obviously, that only works for routes that the Myron already knows by heart. Sure, where to?
Good morning, my sir. Walk blessed.
Get away from there! Now! By the prophet's ass! 1 second later and I would have been scraping your remains off the floor. What in blazes are you doing here anyway? Let's put it this way. I know how to hide when I don't want to be seen. And concerning the explosion, you stepped right into a Kyranian dust crystal. Get a little too close and wait a little too long, and you'll have your ass blown around your ears by an explosion that would put any cannon to shame. Lashiri? Oh my. The fellow really isn't one for names, is he? I'm Lashari, but never mind that. At least it proves you're not lying. Anyhow, I hope you're not the backup I asked for. I was hoping for someone more, impressive. No offense. Is that so? Indeed. You have some uncontrolled magic inside you. And quite a lot of uncontrolled magic. Not bad. I've never felt anything like this before. Very well. If Constantine insists, I will perform the ritual on you. But it'll have to wait, since I'm up to my neck in this shit, as you've probably noticed. Short version or long version? Which do you prefer? We got ambushed. Why and by who, I have no idea. But I'd guess they're mercenaries. They must have found a hidden entrance, because one moment, I was upstairs and inspecting our mules. The next, I'm down in the ruin to find it flooded by these fuckers. Now, here's the thing. All my scrolls and the artifacts we've been searching for are still down there, as are my assistant and his Enderalayan colleagues. And before you ask, yes, you can help me. You'll have to, actually, if you want me to tame your magic. I wouldn't have a chance fighting the mercenaries by myself, but the two of us might be able to do it, provided you can defend yourself, which I'm quite sure you can. What do you say? Are you ready? Oh, that's hard to explain, but part of it is finding the answer to the universal question. Why do some people have the nerve to ask irrelevant questions when shit is going down around them? After we've cleaned up the mess, we can do this whole "who are you and what are you doing here" thing if you want to, but this really isn't the time. No idea, but I don't think there are more than a dozen. Also, they don't anticipate any resistance, which is to our advantage. Fine, then follow me. And keep your weapons ready. I think I just heard footsteps down there.
You will not get that.
Stabbed like a pig. Hang on. What's this? By the prophet's ass. I don't believe it. They're orders. My assistant, Sev. It seems he's the reason these fuckers managed to take us by surprise. Save it for Sev when I shove this staff up his ass and fire a thunderbolt. Shit, can you smell that? That's fire. So, these guys really are trying to destroy our research. We have to do something. You're adept at magic, right? Take this spell and use it to put out the fires. If I'm right, the mercenaries are trying to destroy the stone fragments. We have to stop them. You take the lower part of the ruin. Try to save as many stones as you can. I'll take the upper part, and when it's all done, we'll meet here again. Oh, and one more thing. If you should find my assistant Sev down there, try to take him alive and bring him to me. I want to take care of him myself. Okay? Then let's get going.
bastards just left me down here to die. Can you believe it? Despite everything I did. Oh, forgive me.
Well, I'll be damned. That's what I call good timing. I take it you were successful? What about the fragments? Did you save them? All of them? Call me a pregnant Lyran. You really are good at what you do. You won't regret it, I swear. What about Sev? Did you find him? Fuck. That little shit. I was hoping I could make him tell us who's behind all this. Well, whatever. No use crying over spilt milk, I guess. What's your name, anyway? Amidst all this, we didn't have time for formalities. You're pleased? Well, that's good to hear. I actually had the feeling that I was a little rough on you. Sorry for that, really. Sometimes I just have a short fuse. Anyway, let's talk about the reason you're here. For starters, tell me how you managed to get the old ranter to trust you. That doesn't happen very often. I've got time. Uh-huh. So, you're saying that you learned all this, the magic, the swordplay, in such a short time? That's fascinating, to say the least. And these visions, if I understand correctly, you foresaw the death of the two apothecary? It does indeed. But hey, who am I to judge? Here you are, the mysterious stranger who appeared out of thin air and, without much fuss, took out an entire group of sellswords. And even better, now you tell me that these skills come from studying magic for only a couple of weeks, and that you can see the future. You certainly are full of shit. Not you, sorry. I mean, I just had a strange thought. But no, that would be crazy. Way too unlikely. Well, I'd like to speak freely, but I'm bound to my agreement with the Holy Order. However, I will tell Constantine and old Aranthiel about my theory. And you will probably have to be patient until the latter decides to put you in the picture. Sorry. But if my idea is correct, then we'll be in a position to really kick ass. Anyway, hold still for a moment. Ready? Alright, let's do this. Don't worry, it'll just tickle a bit. Fuck! Are you alright? That wasn't on purpose. Really. Oh my, you really do look terrible. I will make this right, I promise. I have no idea what just happened. The ritual isn't exactly harmless, but normally you shouldn't feel more than a weak tickle at most, regardless of how it goes down. But, maybe this has something to do with the strangeness of your aura. I already said this, but it's so different. It's hard to explain. Somehow complex and cold, maybe. But hey, I'm probably just out of practice. It worked, and that's what matters. Your fever will now settle down to an endurable level, and maybe even vanish if you're careful. And now I suggest you return to Constantine. I will get the stones to safety in the meantime. You need anything else? If not, see you later. We're going to meet again. I can feel it. Well, put simply, they're supposed to protect us. But old Aranthiel will tell you more about it later. Take care.
Now, if it isn't the prodigy, well? Yes, I know. She's already told me everything. Good work, even though part of her report seemed to be a bit enthusiastic. But I'll leave the judgment to Aranthiel. He wants to talk to you anyway. Seems you've caught his interest. Didn't I tell you that already? He's the highly esteemed, holy Grandmaster of the Order. Tilor Aranthiel, son of Lorius I, praised be his name. An old legend, risen from the dead, or something like that. In the Emporium, the last building on the left side of the temple. Just tell the guard that Aranthiel has asked for you, and they will let you in. Ah yes, before I forget. My dame Lucy has left a token of gratitude for you. It's your choice. Do you want a book, an old map, or a bag of pennies? Very well, now get a move on. I'm sure we'll talk again later.
Who are you?
Hello. You're the companion of that mercenary, aren't you? Dalveric, or whatever his name is. I don't want
Well met.
It is a suspicion, Tila. And to send an entire division across the sea because of a suspicion is madness.
We need to find out who sent the mercenaries. This Pegast said that they were after the Signet Stone, and if they succeed in getting hold of it next time, then the Black Guardian alone knows how to stop the cycle.
The cycle. Listening to you talk almost makes me forget that all this fuss here is merely based on some bad dreams you and your Neremese friends had.
The threat is real. Deny it as much as you like, but deep inside, you feel it as much as I do.
Tila, you're a commander, and a commander doesn't care about feelings, but about facts. You have made this mistake before, Tilor, back then in Kira, and we all know...
The mission will happen. I'm sorry.
You have a visitor.
So, you are the prodigy everyone is talking about. Interesting. I am Tealor Aranthia, son of Lorius I and Grandmaster of the Order, and I'm honored to meet you. What is your name? Yes, and I will come straight to the point. You are here because I believe that you are special. Humanity faces a threat that needs to be stopped, and to achieve this, you are indispensable. Among other things, yes. I do not need to explain to you that the present situation on Vin is chaotic. The wars, the living dead, common people who are losing their minds, to name only the most obvious. What most people are not aware of is the connection between these events. You, however, have encountered it, as have I. I do, and I will explain everything to you. What it means, who we are, and what your part in all of this is. Come, follow me. Maybe you already know who I am. My entire life, I served the gods who ruled Vin, until their death 2 years ago. What you probably do not know is that the one responsible for their death is my son, Narazul Aranthia. He hated the Lightborn because he believed that they robbed mankind of their right to freedom.
Walk blessed.
So he strived to overthrow them. He found followers, formed an army and declared war on them, and thus on me, a servant of the Lightborn as well. It all ended in a battle 30 years ago, which Narazul won. He killed every single survivor except for me, and locked me in a dungeon on Nerim. I still do not know why he spared me. There were circumstances favoring the development, but it's a long story which we won't discuss now. Good question. Because at the moment stability is the highest good, even more so considering what we are facing. The rulers of Kira and Kile both made the mistake to acknowledge the death of the gods to their people, and the civil wars that followed in their countries are evidence of the chaos that such a revelation entails. Enderal is the cradle of the Order of the Gods, the epitome of theocracy. It is unthinkable what would happen if we confirmed these rumors. I am sure you understand this. Maybe when all this is over that will change, but for now it is imperative that we deny all rumors of that kind. Yes, after more than 30 years, when the death of the gods made the magic around the prison disappear. And during my escape in the northern mountains of Nerim, I also had them for the first time, the dreams. I always saw the same glaring, terrible light. Heard screaming, and I felt like I was burning up from the inside. And above all, like a veil, there was the knowledge of imminence. At first, of course, I dismissed these dreams as the delusion of a man close to death. So I concentrated on making it through the mountains somehow. 2 days after my escape, I was completely exhausted, and I would have died if a former acolyte of my son had not found me. Yes, but he did not recognize me, and brought me to their headquarters instead, an old monastery in the mountains. The others were aware of my identity, but for whatever reason they did not kill me. Maybe because they thought that the death of the Lightborn had made me insignificant. I do not know. Still, even after my recovery, the dreams continued. At first, I doubted my sanity, but after some time I told the leader of the mages, Constantine, about them. And he said something that I'd never expected. I was not alone. He, as well as many others magically gifted on Vin, dreamed the same dreams. And the more we talked about the matter, the stronger our suspicion grew, which has now turned out to be the truth. The dreams, they come from the same place. They are a shared memory. The collective subconscious. Yes, I know that you can feel it too, and probably far more intense than we do. But like you back then, we were not able to make sense of the images. So we went looking for answers in the remains of the civilization that was before us, the Pyreans. 3 things. First, there were many civilizations before us and before the Pyreans. Maybe hundreds, maybe thousands. Second, the history of each civilization unfolded and still unfolds according to a pattern. They emerge, they blossom, and at some point, at the apex of their existence, they simply disappear without any trace. And third, everything that has happened in the past years, and which is still happening, indicates that this disappearance lies ahead of us. We are part of an eternal loop, a cycle, and our cycle is approaching its end. Not identical, but one can split them up into episodes which repeat themselves in the very same manner, into patterns. Yes, dramatically put, they're the envoys of the end. Yes, it does. At first we considered it absurd, as probably you do at this moment. But there came a moment when we simply could not deny it anymore. We began to study the history of the Pyreans more intensely, and the parallels were extraordinary. In its early days, the Pyrean Empire was split up by a disaster, just like Vin was split up by the Starfall after the reign of the Eterna. Also, the Pyreans had a ruling caste who declared themselves gods after the catastrophe. The 2 castes of the Sun Priest. They, too, ruled until they were overthrown. This overthrowing was followed by an outbreak of wars and chaos. And then, just like that, the Pyreans ceased to exist. They knew it was imminent, but they could not prevent it. They called this event the Cleansing. They tried, but they failed. Who knows why? Maybe they found out too late, or maybe they were too weak. That is the question we need to find an answer to. The end was not violent, at least not in the sense as we know it. There was no natural disaster, no magical explosion, no plague. Even though there was war in the Pyrean Empire before its ruin, when the cleansing happened, It was as if all living beings simply fell down and died. It is ghastly. Well, this is the reason why we need your help. Not only episodes of history recur within every cycle, characters do as well. Yes, the Pyreans call them the Emissaries. They emerge very shortly before the cleansing occurs, like a law of nature, an answer to the Red Madness. And I am one of them, as are you. While I take on the role of the ruler, you take on the role of the prophet. It's just a description. Call it what you will. But without doubt, it is the truth. Your story matches the descriptions perfectly. Yes. Former enemies or not, both sides have understood the magnitude of the threat. The magical knowledge of Narazul's former mages is vast, as is the power of the Holy Order. Even though not all of the Keepers agree, as you probably have already noted yourself. I do not know. Firespark the Mage has told me your story, and even though your fate is tragic, unlike me, you were insignificant before your change. So maybe everyone can become an emissary, or we simply have not understood the pattern yet. No, as I already said, the emissaries simply appear at the beginning of the end, like pieces on a chessboard. We are determined by our skills. How and to what end we use them is our choice. On the one hand, your power. You carry the potential to master any skill within a fraction of the usual time needed. I assume you have already realized this. On the other hand, your ability to look into the past, and therefore into the future. Your visions are a window into the past. And as every cycle is based on the same events, it is a window into the future as well. You can feel the thread this world is woven with. And because of that, you can see things that have happened, and thus will happen again. This gift makes you indispensable to us, and it is why I want your help. Hollow words. Deep inside, you know your responsibility. Trust me, we are more alike than you believe. That is the wrong question. The correct question is, what alternative do we have? To wait and die? If it is wealth and power you seek, you will have it. The Order has enough of both. Good. However, there's one more thing before the actual work begins. I want you to join our Order, and to do so, you have to pass a test. A trial. It is. Whatever you think about our story, we are the only faction that is strong enough to oppose the cycle. If you want to be part of our mission, you need to have access to our knowledge and resources. There will be voices in the Order speaking against your admission, as they are speaking against the presence of the Naramese mages. Consider it an honor or a necessity. It is up to you. It is the trial the novices have to pass in order to be exalted to the role of a keeper. Only the best students of the Squalor are allowed admission, and even though you have not been a novice, I want you to take it too. At this very moment, 2 novices are on their way to the testing grounds. I have informed them about your arrival. I have only a slight acquaintance with them. However, I know that they are both very talented and have been working hard toward the test. But see them for yourself. I had a hunch. Let us leave it at that. At the border to the Heartland, near the Whisper Wood. They will be waiting for you there. Take the Myret, talk to Signet Master Bartar, and hand him this package. And then follow his orders. One more thing. It might be self-evident, but keep your knowledge about the death of the Lightborn to yourself. I do not believe you can do any real harm, but in the worst case, path-abiding people will consider you a heretic. After the cycle has been stopped, we will deliberate upon how we deal with the matter, if and how we tell our people about it. But not now, that is for sure. Now, leave. The sooner we can dispense with this formality, the better.
Approved your request. We will take care of
this. Is holy ground, Outlander. You don't belong here.
An Outlander. What are you doing in this part?
It just doesn't work, Master, no matter how hard I try.
Yes, and there you have the problem. You try.
I'm afraid I do not follow, Master.
Okay, I love it.
Yes?
Walk blessed, my friend.
Now look at that. It's the prodigy. Now look at that. Someone who's actually interested in us as people, rather than in our knowledge about the Pyreans. But it's your lucky day. I really wouldn't mind a good talk right now. Hold on a second. Arizalian Brandy. Vintage 8214. What do you say? A glass and a good talk? There are a couple of things I wanted to ask you anyway. All right then. When I hear you say that, I don't regret for a second that I never came back to Ostian. Even though I've thought about it from time to time. Wow! Finally, someone who says it up front. Yeah, I've got some Scarag blood in me, though comparably little in regards to how much it shows. My grandfather, he used to serve in the South Realms Marines. And one day they captured a ship of Scarag raiders, some of them women. Stories say he fell in love with one of them, and yeah, you can connect the dots. But to answer your original question, yes, I'm from Ostian. Though we fled the city around 10 years ago. The right choice, as I probably don't need to tell you. The temple was always a bunch of fanatical fuckheads, but that bastard High Priest Janus gave the word butcher an entirely new meaning. I know, and nah, I hardly know anything about her. Only that they were raiders and that she fled about 2 years after giving birth to me. Poor Grandpa. You should have seen how people reacted to the way I looked. Even as a kid, they always looked at me and my almond-shaped eyes as if they were expecting me to pull out a skull fetish any second and start putting curses on anyone in the vicinity. True words. Warriors of the Creator. War against the infidels. The Creator's children don't even sugarcoat how radical their faith is anymore. And still, so many people join their ranks. It's fucking insane. But then again, I guess that's religion for you. Don't think for yourself anymore. Let someone else do it for you. At least it was for my brother. I had. He was about 15 years older than me, and was always a troubled child. Rakul. That was his name. You know, my family was very wealthy before we fled. Drapers for generations. The best in Ostian. I suppose that's why my father expected so much from Rakul, since I, as a woman, wouldn't have been allowed to take over the business when my father would have retired. But Rakul, he just wasn't made out for it, you know? He was shy and introverted, and never had a hand for money. I can't remember how often Father told him that he was a disgrace to the family. You can call it that, yes. Looking back, I think the temple only gave him what Father wouldn't. A perspective. The feeling of being needed. He spent almost all of his time in the temple after his conversion, and knew the entire Rania, their holy scripture, by heart. Well, and one day, he announced that simply attending the masses wasn't enough anymore. He would join the temple's warriors. Damn right. That's what these bastards do. They exploit the vulnerability of people like him and indoctrinate them with their fucking bullshit. And once that's done, they send them to fight for their holy causes. In other words, their own interests, like pawns on a chessboard. And if they die, then they call it a fucking honor. I'm sorry, my dame. Your youngest son just died. But don't worry, he's in a better place now, eating grapes and drinking honey. What solace, isn't it? Now, do you have any other neglected children for us? We're running short on material. Damn it, I hate those bastards. Just hate them so much. He was slaughtered, hacked into pieces by Chancellor Baratheon's cavalry. That was before the peace treaty. I'd be surprised if they taught him what end of a lance to stab with before they sent him into the field. But, well, I guess that answers the question you asked me up in the temple, doesn't it? I was sick of seeing people using religion for their own ends. Creator, Lightborn, the Great Spirit. Same shit, different name. And you know what? No matter how much chaos the death of the gods caused, I don't regret being a part of it, not in the least. It was the right thing to do. Anyway, I'd say we call it quits for now, okay? It was good talking to you, but I'm dying for a nap. Take care.